Scott just made the
back to
point.
Thomas
Jeff
Jefferson,
Jefferson
you'll
used to be a lot more secure, not just.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle, and welcome to part 2 of our 3-part trifecta on the world of the future. Now, as we discussed in part 1, the movie Back to the Future Part 2 was set in the far distant world of October 21st, 2015. Well, here we are. Now, in part 1, we looked at some of the tech changes that both arrived and failed to arrive here in the real world of 2015. And today, we're going to take a look at some of the social changes. So let's bring in our fellow time travelers, Steve Green and Scott Ott, to talk about how society has changed from the way the world of 2015 was envisioned way back in 1989. So, Scotty, let's start with you. You know, the Back to the Future trilogy is about a young man, Marty McFly, who travels forward and backward in time, really just so that he can keep his heterosexual, patriarchal, cisgendered family together so that they continue to exert their privilege over people of color, right? That's basically what the movie was about.
I think you've got the fundamental plot there, the premise of it. But I think, you know, if we were to make it today, and Marty was going to go back to the 1950s, he would be going back there, first of all, to make sure that his parents never met. Because the last thing in the world you want to is have two heterosexual people meet, fall in love, and get married, because we know, first of all, the flaws of heterosexuality, but also the fact that marriage is a failed institution. And then there's always the risk, whether they get married or not, and in the 1950s they had this quaint notion that you should get married first, that somebody would get pregnant. And that could be either one of them, I'm sure, in this day and age, but that one of his parents would get pregnant, give birth to him, further burdening beloved Gaia Mother Earth with the responsibility of taking care of one Martin McFly who just consumes resources and belches out greenhouse gases. I think today it would kind of be, will he be able to get back in time and make sure he never existed to avert the tragedy of his being?
Yeah, so the modern Back to the Future 2 would be Marty McFly getting in a solar-powered Prius and driving at 12 miles an hour until he reached a certain point where he could go back in time and make sure he was never born so that the Earth is saved. That's basically it, right? Yeah, I don't like this future much. You know, Steve, we talked a little about this in the last episode. Marty McFly doesn't seem like he'd be too much at home with these modern millennials. You know, they're at the ball game just taking selfies. They're not watching the ball game, just taking pictures of themselves. Marty McFly is doing incredibly dangerous things like traveling through time and trying to preserve, you know, his actual physical identity, his actual existence. It's kind of sad comment, really, on where we've fallen, isn't it, Steve?
It really is sad. You know, you look at social media today and everybody hating on themselves just for simple physical facts of their existence. Oh, I feel so guilty about my white privilege. Oh, it's so awful that I'm straight. So we today, if we did have time travel, we would have these lefties, these progressives, going back to stop themselves from being born and feeling good about that. Well, yeah. Maybe it's a damn shame we don't have time travel. And I can tell you for a fact that we don't have time travel because there's no way that people traveling back to the 70s could keep Bruce Jenner as a chick a secret. That cat would have been out of the bag 30, 35 years ago. Slightly more seriously, though, you know, I just finished reading a book a couple of months ago, Neil Stephenson's new one, Seven Eves, which is 2/3 of a great book. He didn't quite know what to do in the last act. But the premise is something has shattered the moon, and we've got 2 years before there is a hard rain of moon debris that is going to boil off the oceans, kill all life on Earth. So we're going to put as many thousands of people into orbit, into an expanded space station and all these little colonies as we can in the 2 years that we have. And when they flash forward 5,000 years into the future, what had happened was the world's population got down to 7 women in orbit. That's all that were left of the 2,000 or 3,000 people that we managed to put into orbit because social media had caused so many panics and such bad decision-making that almost every single one of those people ended up dead, and it was darn near the end of the human race. So you go into the future 5,000 years and technology is coming back, and you know we've got all these great huge orbital things made out of moon debris, and we've got 3 billion people again, and they're investing none of that technology into social media. It's all going into robots to help them build more habitats.
So maybe we can learn a lesson. All we need is for the moon to explode. Apparently, that's a message that we can all take into our into our old age.
Little thing.
Hey, you know, folks, do I care that the traditional family structure has come apart from the world of 1985 or even 1955? Well, yes and no. On one hand, I believe that non-traditional families are none of my business and they can do whatever they want to make them happy. Honestly, truly, I really believe that. But on another level, so much of what we see today in defending non-traditional lifestyles and sexual orientations is just constant attacks on the traditional ones. If an energetic, motivated, gregarious kid like Marty McFly were in school today, he'd be bombarded with nonsense about privilege and rape culture and all the rest. Likely, he would have been medicated at an early age to make sure that his boyish, and very dangerous, I might add, energy, curiosity, and sense of adventure is bleached out of him before it could harm the community. Worse, it's virtually inconceivable to imagine today's teenagers having not only the sense of adventure, but also the willingness to make friends with a very old man who was performing illegal and dangerous experiments with radioactivity and who drove a planet-killing car at nonsensible speeds. You know, if Marty McFly landed in the world of today, I think he would have run from this weenie future as fast as his nuclear-powered time machine would take him and travel back into the past to find out what had gone so terribly, terribly wrong. For PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle.